Here we go. Instagram, what's up? Good morning. Happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day. Facebook, X, YouTube, LinkedIn. Good morning to you. I got another quick and dirty live broadcast for you. For those who don't know who I am, my name is Ren Jones. I am a certified personal trainer. I'm a certified corrective exercise specialist through the National Academy of Sports Medicine, certified level 1, level 2 nutrition coach, certified as a women's coaching specialist through Girls Gone Strong. Shout out to Molly Galbraith. And I'm certified 3 different times with 3 different certifications for menopause specifically, one through Dr. Stacy Sims. Of course, good morning, Ash. There are people who don't know who I am. It's amazing to me. But I've got 1 certification through Dr. Stacy Sims, Menopause 2.0, 1 through MedFit, shout out to Dr. Carla D, and 1 through Girls Gone Strong for their menopause course. So I work exclusively with midlife women. I'm a midlife man myself, rounding the corner to 50 in a couple of weeks, going on a cruise. You're welcome to come along, pay your own way. But I want to talk to you today about an appropriate midlife workout plan for women. And this requires a disclaimer up front because the population that I serve is not ill. They're not diseased in any way. They're not incapable of doing the workouts that they've always done. But one common phrase that I hear from the population I serve is, Ren, I'm doing all the stuff that I used to do and I'm just not getting the results. And that's part of the challenge because you're doing all the stuff that you used to do, but your hormonal profile is not doing all the stuff that it used to do. So we make some slight tweaks, a few adjustments to help you better get results, the results that you want from the effort that you put in. That's what I'm all about, y'all. Peace, love, and results. It's a sunny, beautiful day here in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's a little bit after 8:05 here. Let's dive in. I don't want to wait because I know most people are going to watch this on a replay. But before I get started, I got to pay the bills, y'all, because I'm enrolling. It's my enrollment week. I'm enrolling 5 women in midlife who want to get great results from the exercise and nutrition interventions that they deployed, who maybe haven't been getting great results since the hormonal profile started to shift a little bit. If that sounds like you, DM me the word live, L-I-V-E. We'll have a quick discussion in the DMs. We'll see if the programs that I provide might be a good fit for you. Let's get into it. So the first thing that we have to consider in generating this sort of excellent, results-driven midlife plan, we have to consider what changes are happening to the hormonal profile because it's an important piece of what you're experiencing physically at the moment. We're talking mainly about the superstar estrogen. In this case, one of the 3 estrogens. Really, when we say estrogen, we should say estrogens, but we just say estrogen. But this one is estradiol. And estradiol, I said last night on a different live broadcast from my clients, because I do a live broadcast with them every week, estradiol is like that super soldier serum that they gave Captain America. It's like that tea that they make for Black Panther with the little pistol and mortar out of the heart-shaped herb. That's what estradiol is like for women. And as it starts to fluctuate and eventually withdraw in postmenopause, you'll find that some of the things don't work quite the same way that they used to work. And we're going to start with muscle. So we have to know that if the tissues or systems in the body have an estrogen receptor, sort of like an outlet for this plug, right? If you've got an outlet, then this plug is necessary. In this case, the outlet would be an estrogen receptor, the plug will be estrogen, and that's running all through your muscle tissue, right? And what estrogen helps your muscle do is get a good contraction, that Hulk smash contraction. You need a Hulk smash contraction. And if estrogen is fluctuating and or withdrawing, it's a little bit more difficult for your muscles to get a great intense contraction and stimulus. So we got to shift from some of the things that we used to do, and we've got to sort of manually force enough stimulate. That was my mean face. We got to manually force enough stimulation into the muscle to get it to respond. Because another challenge at this time in your life is your body's having a little bit more difficult time maintaining muscle. You've probably heard about age-related muscle loss. Sarcopenia starts really after age 30. If left unattended, You'll end up a little bit feeble later in life, and we don't want that because you're badass, strong ladies. But you're having a little bit more difficult time with the fluctuation of estrogen, the withdrawal of estrogen, estradiol specifically, E3 they call it. Having a little bit harder time maintaining your muscle, right? And also having a little bit harder time taking up protein, absorbing protein from the food you eat to make more muscle. That's a double-edged sword of BS, quite frankly. It's harder to keep the muscle, it's harder to make more muscle, and you don't get as great a contraction that will promote your body to adapt and change to your strength training. So what we want to do, number one, is we want to consider the opportunity to strength train at least 3 times a week. It was important before, it's always been important, super important now though, because of how estrogen is changing your body's, or the lack of, is changing your body's physiology. We also want to look at compound movements. And when I say a compound movement, I mean a movement that incorporates more than one joint. This is an easy Google, by the way. You can just Google compound movements. You'll get a lot of great information. It's not a strange or unique term in terms of exercise and physiology, but something like a squat, something like a deadlift, something like a bench press or chest press or push up. A compound movement just sort of employs more than one joint, right, in the movement. But again, that's an easy Google. I don't want to waste your time teaching you about compound movements here when we got very specific things that we can talk about here. But you want to incorporate compound movements because they utilize a lot of muscle and you need a greater stimulus. And we want to look at heavier lifts, right? Heavy is a relative term. One person's heavy is another person's moderate. But basically what we're looking at is playing really in that 3 to 5 range of lifts. And when I say 3 to 5, I mean 3 to 5 exercises that each have 3 to 5 sets. And each of those 3 to 5 sets look at repetition count of 3 to 5. It's no problem if you go to 6 or 8 repetitions. It's not, I don't want to be that strict. But what I do want to do here is give you an indication of what's optimal, why it's optimal, why it's going to get you better results based on the science, and let you choose from the spectrum of how you want to incorporate this, because sometimes what's optimal physically isn't optimal mentally or socially for you, or it's not optimal in terms of what you have available in terms of equipment. So I like to work from optimal and then sort of give the range so that I'm not choosing for you, but your choice is more informed, if that makes sense. So back to the strength training. So why 3 by 5, Rand? I always lifted 10 to 12, 12 to 25, 25 to 35 repetitions, and there's nothing wrong with that. And the bigger disclaimer here always is, if I say something and it's not what you're doing, and you're loving the results of what you're doing, keep doing what you're doing. I'm out of the convincing business. I retired from the convincing business in 2017, never going back. So I'm not here to talk you out of what you love to do. Again, I'm just here to give you more information so your own decisions are more informed. If you think about, this is a crude example, but I think it'll move the conversation forward and give you an understanding. If you think about your exercise routine as a remote control, right? Your exercise routine is remote control. The television itself, the thing you're remote controlling, is your body, right? So your exercise routine is sending signals to your body to get your body to do something. You press channel 3 and the TV goes to 3. You press 25 and the TV goes to 25, right? Well, your hormones might be the battery in the remote in that case, right? And if the battery's a little bit depleted, you'll push the button to try to get the TV to do what you want it to do. You'll do an exercise routine to try to get your body to do what you want it to do. And you'll find that even though you're pushing the buttons that always worked, the TV's not responding in the way that it's always responded. So now it's the 80s again, and you got to get up and go to the TV and change it manually. This is sort of what we're looking at in terms of shifting your exercise routine. Now, because the hormones aren't here to make that muscle contract the way it used to, we kind of got to get up and go to the TV and do it manually. And that's why we're lifting heavier with less repetitions than you probably did before. How do you gauge how heavy something should be or is or isn't? Really from the repetition range, maybe I give you a range of 6 repetitions of an exercise. By 4, 5, and 6, you should be on the Hulk face. You know, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, get to the chopper face, right? You need to, we call it scrunchy face in the context of my clients and my program. Got to get to that scrunchy face. That's the type of stimulus that you need. So the first thing that I want you to consider in building the optimal midlife workout is getting to a strength training session 3 times in any 7-day period. That's optimal, right? And making sure that your lifts are relatively heavy. It doesn't have to be between 3 and 5 repetitions, but it's a good idea. And obviously you're working your way up to heavier lifts, but 3 to 5 repetitions, it could be 6, it can be 8. Let's not get caught up on the numbers specifically, but also using compound movements. Now, I've got to warn you, as a coach, this is a point where my clients this is one of the first points where my clients hate me, because a lot of my clients, even though they're not getting results when they come in, they're used to doing things like bicep curls, right? Bicep curls are cool, I love them, they're awesome. They're used to doing things like tricep dips or overhead tricep extension, because got to work that tricep, you know, shoulder raises. And I typically don't put that in their workouts initially. The reason being is I'm looking at the human that's in front of me, the woman that's in front of me. And if she says she has limited time, if she says she can't get to the gym very often, if she says I need the best 30-minute session I can get, I'm not going to give her a bicep curl. We call those isolation moves where you're working just one muscle at a time. I don't give her a bicep curl because I know any pulling movement, a row, look at what that row's doing, tracking the bicep. Overhead pull, any pulling movement is going to work the bicep. I don't need to work that twice if I'm doing a row. I know any pushing movement is going to work the tricep. She's got limited time. I'm just going to give her a big push movement. I'm not going to give her an isolated tricep movement. I'm trying to preserve time, and I'm trying to get her to put all the intensity that she can into a compound movement. So I often don't include those, but if you got a lot of time and you want to do that, absolutely fine. It's okay to just stick on the compound movements. They are the more muscular bang for your buck. Coach Ashley's a genius, by the way. Follow her if you're not following her already. Level up strength right here. She's a colleague of mine, a little touched, but if you can get past that, a lovely, lovely human. So I'm looking at compound movements. So 3 times a week of strength training. If it's not in your life now, incorporate it in your life. I'll go through the science in the next 10 minutes to get you guys out of here quickly. But compound movements 3 times a week, relatively heavy lift, make that happen. It's important. It works better with your new hormonal profile, and your new hormonal profile has estrogen and progesterone doing this on a daily basis until they do this, and then they sort of flatline. This type of training will work better in terms of getting you the results that you want to keep your muscle, the toned look that everybody asks me for when they sign up for my programs. That's just muscle. That's part of what you want to do 3 times a week. Let's move on. Because the next thing I want you to consider in constructing this great midlife workout is the type and intensity of cardiovascular conditioning that you do. You may come from a time where it was the sweaty session class. Nothing wrong with that. Hour-long class of hopping around or step aerobics or Zumba, which is super fun, by the way. And I don't want to take that away from you. Again, I just want to give you what's optimal at this point to get the results that so many people tell me they are unable to get anymore from their exercise routine. As a matter of fact, they go past that. They tell me what they're doing is backfiring. I keep working out, and I keep getting worse and worse and worse results. So your cardiovascular conditioning, I like to polarize it. Now, I learned this in the Menopause 2.0 course created by Dr. Stacy Sims. I also learned this in the MedFit Menopause Health and Fitness Coach course that was run by Dr. Carla D. Girolamo. I never seem to pronounce her name right, but she's a badass, awesome lady. But polarizing your cardio, right? I want the cardio for my midlife clients who are, I only work with women. If you missed that part, that's important. I want my clients to have polarizing cardio. I want the cardio to be light, blissful, mentally mentally sort of peaceful cardio. I want that mental cardio, that long walk that makes you feel good, that easy cycle ride that makes you feel awesome, and I'm talking about a real bike outside. That swim that makes you feel glorious, not these sort of hard charging 1 hour. How sweaty can I get? Can I burn 2,600 calories in a workout? A la sort of the Orange Theory Fitness, F45. Nothing wrong with those things. And again, two things here. I'm not in convincing business. If you love the results from what you're doing now, keep doing it. Precision nutrition has taught me to ask this very important question when people sort of debate the information. And the question is, how is that working for you, right? You can cling to anything you want to that's not serving you. I'm not here to convince you. Second thing is, obviously, if you're getting off the couch, and F45 is what's available to you. If you're getting off the couch, and Orange Theory Fitness is what's available to you, and it's got great community, and you feel amazing when you do it, and you're moving your body, please continue. I never want to give the impression that what I'm saying based on science is better than what you're doing, and I never want you to feel as if you should be doing nothing instead of doing what you're already doing. So please, I'm looking at long, steady state cardio that's really, really easy. Great grandma pace, right? On one end, that's your mental cardio, that's your relaxation cardio, that's the put you in a good place cardio. On the other end, I want deep intensity in the cardio. Either a sprint interval training, sprint interval training, or a true high intensity interval training. Ren, why did you say a true high intensity interval training? Because a lot of the interval training that we see happen these days, it's interval training, but it's not high intensity interval training. The differentiation is a true HIIT training routine probably caps out at about 30 minutes. The high intensity portion is 80% of your maximum heart rate, around there, and your low intensity portion needs to be low enough for you to be recovered enough so that when you get back to the high intensity portion, you're able to get back to 80% of your 1 rep max. And what happens, not 1 rep max, 80% of your maximum heart rate. And what happens all too often is the high part isn't high enough and the low part isn't low enough. So you get sort of this middle of the road intensity, and that can produce a pronounced stress response at this time in your hormonal profile. Estrogen helps you with stress resiliency. So as estrogen wanes or as estrogen fluctuates, you may not be as stress resilient. And that sort of middle of the road, long-term, super sweaty session cardio that's neither high intensity at points, there's no differentiation between the intensity really, it can produce a little bit more stress response, a little bit more cortisol, and that can find you in a situation where you go do those types of workouts frequently throughout the week, and you find that you continue to go in the opposite direction physically of what you'd like to go in. And again, that's a choice for you to make, not for me, but I want to make sure that you understand that. Nothing wrong with it. If you want optimal results, here's how I program for my clients as a menopause-informed personal trainer and nutrition coach. I'm going to have them do a sprint interval training session. It's usually going to be 20 minutes tops. I'm going to have them go all out on a bike for 20 seconds. And I mean all out. I mean 100% of your maximum heart rate, literally pedaling as fast as you can for your life. You're being chased by a T-Rex, right? 20 seconds, and then I want a rest period that's long enough or either restful enough to fully recover from the 20 seconds so that you go back to that cycle again and you're able to go supra-maximal is the term that Dr. Stacy Sims used. S-U-P-R-A, maximal, supra-maximal. 100% of your maximum heart rate or over that. Like you're killing it on this bike for 15 or 20 super hard seconds. And then you rest again. So the rest could look like you cycling relatively at a really low RPM for 2 minutes. It could look like you stopping completely for a minute and a half. and waiting a minute and a half or 2 minutes and going back to that supra maximal 20 seconds. And you're gonna do like five to seven cycles of that on and off. 20 seconds sprinting, minute and a half, nothing or very, very low pace. That's one cycle. 5 to 7 cycles of that, that's it. It doesn't take all day. What we know about sprint interval training is it creates certain epigenetic responses. Again, I'm taking this from the MedFit course that I took to become certified, taking this from Dr. Stacy Sims' 2.0 course. We know that it creates a few epigenetic changes. Things like promotes a better insulin response. So insulin resistance, which is not a good thing, that means there's probably more blood sugars in your bloodstream, is definitely a common symptom in the perimenopausal phase. A lot of women 40 plus, they'll go to the doctor and the doctor say, oh, you're borderline, we got to watch that blood sugar. That's because estrogen was protective against that. Also, a little bit more adipose, a little bit more belly fat, right? It's very, very common. Sit training is good for helping attenuate that. Also, the dangerous fat behind the abdominal wall, we call that visceral fat. That's the fat that really drives metabolic conditions like prediabetes or diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension, that visceral fat. Sit training is great for that. And sit training in combination with that heavy strength training happens to be predispose you to releasing something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It's great for mental clarity and acuity. So that brain fog that you might experience during the menopause transition, that sit training combined with your strength training can really attenuate that. So too, the high intensity interval training. So just to recap this portion, sit training, 20 seconds of all out effort, maybe a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes of very little effort. HIIT training, up to a minute of higher intensity training. You could do body weight squats for a minute. We're looking at 80% of your maximum heart rate, and a rest period that allows you to recover fully to get back to that higher intensity. Both or either shouldn't really be done more than twice per week, right? 2 sit trainings a week and 3 strength, that was 4, and 3 strength trainings per week, and you're golden, killing it. Another piece of building that workout, that midlife workout, is jump training or plyometric training. We want to be able to generate power, and we want to be able to have impact. We need the power and explosiveness to really control our body through space, but we want to be able to generate the power to get a good contraction in the muscle, to get your body to adapt to the training that you're doing, so you can get the results that you haven't been getting recently. The jump training, the plyometric, we only need about 10 minutes of that, 3 times per week. But when I'm talking about jumping forward, multi-planar, jumping forward, jumping backward, jumping from the side, jumping to the other side, that type of impact training, this is for the osteopenia, right? The age-related bone loss that's also happening because of the fluctuation and withdrawal of estrogen. Again, menopause is not a disease state. You're not a super special population because you've lived long enough to get into perimenopause, get into midlife, but there are some biological shifts that if we are aware of them and understand how they affect us, we can make changes to get better results from the effort. And I've not met a woman yet that's gone into the gym and said, I hope I get mediocre results from this. This hour that I spend in the gym, hope the results aren't that great. Like, that never happens, right? So jump training. You want to jump in multiple directions. You want to be sure, clear with your physician, right, that you do not already have osteoporosis or osteopenia, because we don't want you jumping around on brittle bones. But finding those plyometric movements, that's what's going to help you protect, remodel, we say, that bone density, because that's a big issue. So 3 big issues that you run into medically in perimenopause. Number 1, loss of muscle, sarcopenia. Number 2, loss of bone, osteopenia. Number 3, really cardiovascular disease is a big issue as you get into the midlife phase. And knowing that these things are happening and knowing how to design your workout to work with your new hormonal profile can save you a lot of headache, a lot of frustration, even though it's probably going to be the opposite of what you've been used to, even though it's going to feel uncomfortable, even though you're going to feel like you should be doing something else to get sweaty. you'll probably notice that your results continue to not be there for your effort. Got to pay the bills one more time, because I'm currently enrolling no more than 5 women in midlife who want to preserve their muscle, right? Who want to regrow that bone, who want to feel like a badass again and feel at home in your body again. We do that without calorie counting. We don't do any macronutrient counting, weighing, or measuring food. My 15-week signature program is called Women's Liberation Movement. It's for midlife women who want to get back to feeling like themselves. If that sounds like you, if it's been a long time, you've been promising yourself, I'm going to do something about my health, and if you want to avoid those cataclysmic events that we know show up at this time in women's lives, DM me the word live. It'll let me know that you saw me here. DM me the word live. We'll have a quick conversation in the DM to see if what I do might be a good fit for you. Now, if you DM me, I have to ask you a few questions. So don't DM and then be shocked when I'm asking you questions to figure out if the program's a good fit for you. We got to communicate a little bit to figure this out. Don't let that fear keep you from living your life in the way that you intend to. I'll be back tomorrow with another live session. If you came back and watched this on the replay, thanks for being here. If you have any questions, just put them in the bottom as this populates back up to Instagram and as it populates to Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. Just ask questions in the comments. If I see them pop up, I'll come back and do my best to answer them. Until next time, let's keep it simple. Facebook, LinkedIn, X. Talk to you tomorrow.